So today on Chit Chat with a Therapist, we are going to be talking with a therapist that does divorce recovery. And before we get chatting with that guest, I just want to let you know that Jax Anderson and I are going to be in San Diego next week, and we are offering some mastermind opportunities. If you are interested in that, just send me a direct message and I can send you the webpage link for any of that information. Now, if you don't know what a mastermind is that when you get together with a group, sometimes it's everybody is in the same specialty, sometimes you're in separate specialties, but having the collective group together with different experiences, different thoughts, different ideas, that is a place where the best magic comes into play. I always say that joining my first mastermind was what took my business from a solo practitioner practice into a six-figure business in less than 2 years. And I always want to share that information with everybody that I can. The world could always use more outstanding therapists. I am also working on an online training course, and we'll talk more about that next time. So here is our wonderful guest on Chit Chat with a Therapist. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Great to be here.
So you pronounce your name Babita?
Yes, Babita.
I love it. Babita. So where are you from?
So I live in New Jersey, but I'm a New Yorker, so the tri-state area, but my roots are Indian.
Oh, nice. And so how long have you been in private practice?
So I've been in private practice almost, I'd say about 10 years now.
Okay. And what got you into it?
So I made a career transition. I found back in my 30s that I wanted to do something different. I didn't feel really fulfilled. I was in the corporate world. And I just started to think about like who I am and what I wanted. And I actually found an amazing therapist who helped me in that journey. And she and I worked together on that. And I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be a clinician. I want to be able to help people. And so I started, my academic and practical training.
Wow. So
Yes.
Was that scary jumping from the corporate world into a whole different field?
It was a little scary, yes. But what I found is the skill set that I had just through life experience and then through being in the corporate world translated. And I think I just, really worked on finding my resilience and kind of finding my voice and saying, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do this. And I felt passionate about it.
Nice. And so where do you specialize? What is your niche? What's your area?
So although I have a few areas, the one that I feel is near and dear to my heart is around individual divorce therapy and recovery.
And I know that at one time the divorce rate was about 50%. Would you say it's still about that right now?
I'd say it's actually increased.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it's actually increased. I think things are evolving and changing. There are different stressors in life. People are sort of like searching within themselves in terms of like what they want and need, and so it's increased.
Wow. Would you say
Yeah.
social media has anything to do with that?
I think it does happen, and it does have its effect as far as perhaps having an impact on individuals connecting with that they want to be happier and that they might feel that others are happier, that they might be happier with someone else. And also just in terms of they're recognizing a little bit more what they might need and want in their life through social media.
Okay. And so do couples come to you, or is it usually one part of the couple that comes to you after the divorce or during the divorce? When do you get them?
So I work with couples and individuals. So with couples, oftentimes they are thinking about the divorce. And they want to figure out, can they rebuild their marriage? What do they need to do to rebuild their marriage? What are the tools? Can they work through this and make a decision with grace and amicability? When individuals come to me, they could be in different parts of their process, which is why I sort of created a 3-phase divorce recovery approach. So they could be in the phase where they're just separated and, you know, really just anxious and overwhelmed and saddened, or they could be going through their divorce right now, and they really need help navigating, or they've just ended the divorce and we're processing through the grief and the loss and how we want to create their new story moving forward. So, you know, it depends on whether it's an individual or a couple, but that's sort of how I work.
And so if, say, somebody like myself, I don't specialize in divorce recovery, but I do get somebody that comes in who's struggling with the process of divorce, what are some tips that you could give me with working with an individual that's going through that?
Mm-hmm. So I think a couple of things are really important. One is that the individual needs to make room for all of their feelings. I would suggest that a therapist understand that there is a lot of healing that has to go on first. So there's anger, there's sadness, and just as in any grief process. There's depression, there's anxiety, and making room for that individual to know that they're in a safe place to talk it through and have some self-compassion and support is so important. The other part is that there's coping skills that are needed. So as they're going through these feelings, they might be in a litigious divorce, so they might be the one that is left and they're feeling tremendous amounts of guilt. So they kind of want to know, what are the tools that you can help me with to manage this and feel more grounded? And then the other tip is really a lot of hope and say, you know what? And this is like my own journey, having been through a divorce, is you can create your new story. This does not have to identify you. You can actually be resilient and empowered and come out on the other end. And this is going to bring you to a healthier future for yourself and for whatever relationship you end up being in next.
Wow. Wow. And so do you get the question every once in a while, how long should I wait until I date again?
Yes, actually, I wrote a blog on divorce and dating and, you know, all of like the things that you need to consider and look at. I start off with saying, you know, everybody's unique and different. Some people kind of like don't want to dip their toe and they just want to jump right in. What I recommend is, have you dated yourself? Do you really know what your wants and needs are and who you are? And what does that mean to you? And can you imagine bringing someone into your life? And who do you want out of them? Who do they need to be? So to really like think that through, date yourself, figure it out, and just make sure you're on the same page with whatever it is. Are you dating to have fun? Are you dating to have a relationship? Is this the right time for you? And if you're a parent, and for your kids. And so it's really looking at it in that way. And so it's interesting because I did write that whole article on that very thing, because it does come up a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely have to link to that article under this video, because I think that's an interesting topic that, you know, we get a lot. Even if we're not working with people with divorce, like long-term relationships, like when should I date? And then is it a rebound partner? Or, you know, so it's always, that tends to be something up. Yeah.
It's so true. And you know, with couples that come in that really want to rebuild their marriage and they're not sure, it's like, let's go back to dating each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's so powerful, the whole concept of like dating.
Yeah. So would you say there is any book or resource out there that a therapist could benefit from reading when working with couples or individuals experiencing divorce?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I feel like it's a combination of all sorts of things. I mean, I think there's resources around emotional recovery. I think even though this is a couples book, it's called The 5 Love Languages because it helps you to understand a little bit more about what your language is and what might have happened. That's really helpful. And I think that anything with, I love Esther Perel and Brene Brown. So I would say Rising Strong is an amazing book. Braving the Wilderness. Those kinds of books to help feel connected and empowered and understanding vulnerability in the process, I think is really helpful.
Nice. Now, have you been in private practice for about 10 years?
So I worked in I wouldn't say it's an agency, but I was at an analytic institute where I saw clients at the institute during my training for several years and then switched to private practice.
Okay. And what would you say was the most difficult thing switching to private practice was for you?
Oh, let's see. I think it's really the combination of who are my ideal clients, who do I want to work with, who do I feel like I can benefit as well, not just who do I want to work with, but will benefit from what I can offer for them. Also, it's what are my locations? Where do I want to be as far as demographics? And how do I want to set myself up in my practice? What's going to be my framework in terms of the number of people that I feel like I can manage to see that I can actually do a really good job with, and not feel, oversaturated. I think that that's really important because we tend to burn ourselves out as therapists.
Mm-hmm. And so one question I like to ask most of the people that come on the show is, where do you think you're going to be in 5 to 10 years? What's your big dream?
So I would say that my big dream is really to expand the practice as a group practice. I'd love to bring on other individuals, to be able to focus on different niches and specialty areas. I would love to actually expand. I'm working on some online counseling now, and so I'd love to expand in the international space around online. And then I really want to write a book. I want to write a book about my personal journey with divorce, and a book that could help, women in the divorce space.
Awesome. So definitely got to get that book out, because I think that's going to be extremely important for everyone.
I got to make time for that writing. I know, but I'd love to do that.
Yes.
If anyone wants to help.
Well, there's a publishing company that I know of. What is it? The Happy Publishing Company. I met her out in London, and I listened to her podcast, and it's really awesome. They have everything bundled together, so it could be from not having any idea to having an idea and needing some coaching to just having a book and then saying, like, let's publish this. So I
really, I want to get in touch with them. That sounds great, because I feel like I kind of want to interweave like a personal journey, and then if there are individuals that are willing to share their stories. Yeah. And then also bring in ways to help, and just have something really impactful out there that's like honest and authentic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to sort of connect with this publishing company and get some help on that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And definitely link to your blog, and then I will put some of those other suggestions you had on there as well.
Sounds good, Melissa. This is great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we'll talk to you soon, especially when you get that book out.
Thank you. Sounds good.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.